Hi guys, thank you for tuning into the video today. Very excited to have you here. Before we jump into the first episode of the Foundation series, I'd like to reiterate just a few concepts that you're going to come across in this video that are by no means my own. I would just like to give credit where it's due just before we jump into the video. So the first concept, which is the Golden Circle Rule by Simon Sinek, comes from his book, Simon Sinek Start With Why, where he focuses on the why, the how, and the what from a business perspective, but we're going to be intertwining that with an eating and exercise focus today. The second concept is emotions, education, eating and exercise, which is titled the 4 E's, and that comes from Vision Personal Training, which is a personal training franchise that I currently work for, that have worked for the last 7 years, and am continuing to work for at the moment as a manager at a studio. And basically it's a concept that was created by Vision that is allowing clients to be able to achieve long-lasting change that I have seen first-hand experience in, and I really want to be able to share that with you guys, just for you guys to be able to achieve the same thing. So I hope you enjoy the video, and we'll see you soon. So what's your why? So thank you for tuning into the Foundation series, guys. Very excited to have you here. This is part 1 of a 4-part series that I'm going to be working through, which is emotions, education, eating and exercise. And that's all going to be tied into this Foundation series that's going to go over for the next 4 weeks. So what we're starting with today is understanding our why and what that actually means. So it's something that gets massively overlooked when someone is actually really considering working towards something that is going to change their life from a health and fitness perspective. It's something that can very easily be put on the back burner because we very heavily focus on what's in front of us and what the end point is, not the reason as to why we want to work there. So in this process, it takes us doing a complete 180 and looking back behind us and understanding what we're trying to move away from, which is what we're going to cover today. So I want to draw our attention to a concept that I found out of a very well-known book, Simon Sinek, Start With Why. I'm not sure if you guys have read it before, but it is something that has quite a lot of compelling topics in there that can really be related to a lot of life situations. Obviously the book itself is not a health and fitness book. It's not something to be able to, allow someone to lose 10 kilos or to be able to run a marathon. It's from a business perspective, but there's a concept in there that I really found quite inspiring that I think can be used quite heavily in the health and fitness industry, and when you're sitting there considering where you should start by working towards the goal that you want to work towards. And the concept is called the Golden Circle. So the concept that Simon Sinek suggests is being able to start with the why and allow that to flow into the how and into the what. An example that he uses is Steve Jobs and the Apple company, which I'm sure we have all heard of before. I obviously have. And the concept that he uses is the real reason as to why Steve Jobs started the company that he started. Basically, he says that Steve Jobs started with challenging the status quo and doing things differently. So we all know Apple is a company that creates electronics, laptops, phones, all those different things that are all around the world that we know about. Go onto any train or bus or anything from a public transport point of view, and you see what everyone's doing. Most of the time, people are looking down at their phone. They see a lot of value in that. So that ties into then the next part, which is our products are beautifully designed and easy to use. Hasn't even spoken about the electronics part yet. And then the final part is we make computers. Now, out of those 3 points, even though we know Apple as a brand, the we make computers part is almost like the least inspiring part out of that whole thing that I've said. The first part, which is challenging the status quo and doing things differently, sparks interest, and it sparks that want to be able to find out more and want to be able to do more in that realm. So why should our health and fitness goals be any dissimilar? We should still have that spark to work towards what we want, but statistically, why do so many people fall off? 42% say it's too difficult to follow a diet or a workout regime. 58% say that it's too hard to get back on track once they fall off. And 65% say that it's too hard to find the time to be able to work towards what they want to work towards. So an easiest way to put that is, some people would call those excuses. I call those a clash of values. There's bigger priorities in that person's life. There's making health and fitness kind of chip down the priority list. And then look, there is always going to be priorities that are bigger than your health and fitness goals. There has to be, unless obviously you're getting paid for it. But bringing it back to what we're talking about today, from a starting point, how do we determine what your why is, and how does that apply to the Golden Circle rule of what I just said? So we could create the Golden Circle for health and fitness. So we've got the why, that can relate to emotions. We can talk about the how, that can relate to education and how much you know of what you need to be doing. And then the what is simply the final part of what are you doing in a nutrition and exercise perspective to achieve the goals that you want to achieve. So starting with the middle part, which is the why, which is the most important piece. how do we truly determine what that is? Now, most of the time when I ask someone this question, I go, what is it that you want to achieve? I'm hit with straight away either a number or an event. It's always, I want to lose 10 kilos. I want to wear a bikini on the beach. I want to be able to do a half marathon. I want to be able to do a bodybuilding competition. It's things as simple as that. And they sound like very compelling, exciting goals. If that person achieves it, happy days. But statistically, most people don't achieve the goals that they originally set out to. So we've got to ask ourselves the question, is it the goal or is it what we're actually setting for ourselves? And we need to understand the differentiation between the two. So starting with the why in the middle, you need to ask yourself questions of going, okay, there's nothing wrong with having that goal in front of you. If it's 5 kilos, 10 kilos, weight loss, fitness, maintenance, wanting to be a role model for your kids, whatever that might be. But then asking yourself the questions of going, what about that goal is so important to you? How is that going to impact your life? How is your current condition affecting you right now? Even deeper questions like, how did you get to where you are right now? What about where you are right now is something that you want to change? How much pain are you in? What kind of pain is that? What kind of mental pressures is that putting on you in your life? You can see how that starts to go into a much deeper realm, but it can become a lot more compelling if someone allows themselves to go there. And unfortunately, it's painful. It's not an easy thing to do, to be real with yourself and look in the mirror and go, hey, am I happy with myself? And if you're not, then what happened to get you to that point? What caused that backward spiral to get you to where you are now? But if you can truly sit back and identify that for yourself and write it down on a piece of paper or make it real and put it out in front of you, then you've done the hardest part. You've made it real. And now you have something to move away from. Then we go into the how. The how is the educational part. So that's where we start to actually learn and understand what it takes to be able to achieve the goal that you set out to. Now, not to digress, not to go back too far, but even still, after you've been real with yourself about understanding the why, that original goal that you had in mind, that might not even be what you want anymore. It might be something completely different. I've heard goals change from, I want to lose 10 kilos to be, I just want to be a role model for my kids. I've heard goals change from, I want to do a half marathon, then to be able to go, you know what, I just want to be around for my kids one day and be healthy for them. You can see how it becomes a lot more compelling and it becomes a lot more real and specific to that person. But then we need to actually understand and go, okay, well, how do we do that? We go into the educational part and we understand where that person is currently at. You need to understand where you're at right now and determine and ask yourself that question, whether you're healthy or whether you're not. And it's a simple black and white scenario. If you're not, you need to get yourself healthy to understand what you're capable of. And if you already are, then you need to be able to delve into the realms of what you want to work towards outside of the educational part. But that ties into the next step, which is the eating and exercise. And the eating and exercise is always circumstantial to the original reason and the original goal as to what you set out to in the first place. Unfortunately, people delve into that first and wonder why they don't achieve the results that they want to achieve. Unfortunately, they dive into things like fad diets, New Year's resolutions, going into a keto diet. Not that there's anything wrong with the keto diet, but when it's from the perception of going, I'm just going to give that a go just to see what happens, there's no sustenance behind that of it being important to the person. Because changing diets is hard. A New Year's resolution is hard. Being optimistic and actually having something as sporadic motivation to go, this is what I'm going to work towards right now, that's hard too. We want internal, long-lasting motivation. So tying all that in together, we can understand how starting with the why first and being able to make that the priority of any goal setting that you have is going to actually sustain you for long-lasting change, for you never to be in a position where you're going to go backwards. Now, statistically, when it comes to the health and fitness industry, Australian Sydney University did a study across people who have actually achieved a result and how many people have actually maintained it. And they were saying a shocking 78% of people that achieve their long-term result end up going back to square one again. 78% of people. So if we round that up to 80, that's almost 8 out of 10 people that achieve their long-term result and back at square one again or even further backwards. Now that's quite shocking. And we've got to ask ourselves the questions, well, what's those 2 people doing, that 20%, that 20 people, that 200 people, whatever ratio that you want to play it off in, what are they doing that's different from the status quo? And what they're doing is they're delving into the deep dark places of themselves to understand what they want to work towards, so they don't become that statistic point anymore. And I'm sure you don't either. So if that's something that you want to work on, I honestly urge you to take the time to read this book. No, I'm not getting paid by Simon Sinek. This is just a book that I found a lot of value in, and I think that you will too. But if you can take the time to read that and apply those concepts, and like I said to you, the health and fitness golden circle of your why and understanding what that is, educating yourself, of understanding how you can then actually bring that goal into fruition, and then actioning it through eating and exercise, you'll be in a very, very good place. So I hope to see you in the next video. This is where we're going to go into the exercise perspective with a starter program of something that anyone can do from a beginner level and feel safe in their environment for what they should be doing. And if that's you, I really hope you tune into that. So I hope you have a good day, guys, and I hope to see you in the next video.